Microphone would probably be helpful, huh? Yeah, that would probably be helpful. Got in here, started moving too fast, and forgot what I was doing. But what's going on, y'all? Y'all know how it goes. This your man, Minister C, and I was compelled, as always, to share something with you. So, for some of you that may have seen my post earlier, you saw that we got some snow out here, and it wasn't, by I mean, I'm from Philly. By Philly standards, it wasn't like a ton of snow. It's probably about 6 inches of snow. To me, it was kind of like a regular Philly kind of snow, right? That wet, heavy kind of snow. And I worked last night, got off this morning, tried to get a little nap, tried to get something to eat. And by the time I kind of got myself situated, the snow had started to accumulate pretty good. So I didn't get a chance to kind of get out ahead of it. So when I finally got out there, like I said, it was out there, it was pretty thick, kind of heavy. And I'm like, all right, got to do what you got to do, right? Got my shovel, started clearing my steps, started clearing my driveway. And about, let's say 5 minutes in, my neighbor from a couple of houses down just kind of walks over. He's like, hey, that's too heavy. Don't shovel that. That's too heavy. And he came over with his snowblower and helped me clean out, my driveway and my walk. I bring this up because the first thing I thought, and I gotta be honest, the first thing I thought was I kind of laughed. I was like, that thought from the Wizard of Oz, like we're not in Kansas anymore. I was like, oh, we ain't in Philly anymore because this wouldn't have happened in Philly. But the thought that I had after that was I realized that right before I went outside, I just got finished eating. I was kind of sitting there. I was feeling that kind of lethargy that, kind of makes you just want to sit there, watch TV or do something. But I kept hearing, get up, get this done. And I might have heard it 2 or 3 times. And finally, the third time, I'm like, all right, let me get up and go ahead and get this done before I lose my sunlight. Had I not listened to that still small voice, I would have missed that opportunity to run into my neighbor that had the snowblower. And it got me to thinking of how many times we hear that still small voice and we ignore it. How many times we get in, and for people that don't believe, they might say, oh, I had an instinct, or I felt something, or something told me to, right? You might feel it or sense it in different ways. But for those that believe, you kind of hear it as like that still small voice, that voice inside your head that says, hey, you better get this, get up, get going, do this, do that. So I heard that and I obeyed it. Had I not obeyed that voice, I would have missed my opportunity to run into my neighbor with the snowblower, and I would have been forced to do that by myself. And it got me to thinking, how many times do we ignore that still small voice that's telling us to get up and go do something? How many times do we have the inclination to move? Do we say, hey, I'm going to do this day, or I should get up and do this right now, and then let that opportunity pass by? How many times do you ignore that? And what are you missing when you don't listen to it? What assignments or what connections are you forfeiting when you don't get up and listen to that still small voice? Our procrastination will be the death of a lot of things. And I know we look at a lot of things as, that's not a big deal. But you never know what chance encounters are going to benefit you somewhere down the line. Had I not listened, I would not have gotten that blessing. Every time that you ignore that voice in your head, you're possibly missing an opportunity, or you're possibly missing an assignment, or you're possibly missing a seed that's going to be planted in you that's going to be sown later, that will be like a harvest for you that you can't even imagine. But because you decided to ignore it, you missed that opportunity, and it doesn't guarantee that it's going to happen again. Proverbs 27:1 says it really simply: do not boast about tomorrow, for you don't know what tomorrow may bring. We're counting on us having more time to do things. We're counting on us having more opportunities to do things, but we don't know that. And if we're being honest, that's an arrogant, uh, that's a measure of arrogance that is common to a lot of us. We feel like, hey, I'm gonna go to sleep tonight. I'm gonna wake up in the morning. It's just normal, right? Barring any kind of catastrophic events, that's just normal. That's not normal. You recovered. You made it through the day. You made it through the day despite things that you were completely oblivious to. But in your own ignorance or in your own arrogance, you just continue going about your normal routine as if, hey, I did this, I got this, I set my day, I moved, walked in my own course, and that's how it's supposed to work. If you don't believe me, if you think I'm just kind of being, you know, overly spiritual, if you kind of think I'm being dramatic, take a look at social media. I don't know about you guys, but there's been an influx of younger people passing away. I mean, people that suddenly just passed away that seemingly have not really had any kind of health issues, have not had any other kind of things that might contribute to their passing. Don't get me wrong. There's some that have experienced some trauma or some kind of tragic events, but there's a lot of people that are dying in their late 30s, 40s, and early 50s, which for most of us isn't considered a full life. And I promise you, those people probably had plans for the next day. Those people probably had things that they said, you know what, I'll get to that in a minute. Those people probably heard that voice that said, hey, I need you to do this. And they said, I'll get to it, or put it off. We don't know what the next day holds. We don't know how much time we're going to have. We just don't. And the fact that we continue to move in a way that puts us in a position to think that way means that we could possibly be missing out on a ton of blessings or a ton of connections that will promote us to the things that we keep dreaming and desiring of. There's dreams I have, there's desires I have, but I know I have to put in work. And sometimes that work starts with me just listening to that voice in my head. So my encouragement for you today is this. When you get that inclination, when you hear that still small voice, don't ignore it. Don't put it off. Understand that the moment that you have right now is all that you can guarantee. You don't know what the next minute holds, much less the next day, the next week, the next month or year. And every time you put something off, you give the enemy an opportunity to come in and disrupt the plan that God has for you. So that's what I had to come on here and share today, y'all. I appreciate you. Whatever you do today, do it safely, and I'll check with y'all later. Peace.